Today, I want to discuss something that I think confident people don't often talk about, because I think in society there's a stereotype of confidence that it's loud, that it's energetic, that it's charismatic, that it's in your face, and it never questions itself. I think real confidence is a lot deeper than that. It's more of that quiet confidence that you see in people that don't feel the need to constantly show off or look better. It's about just feeling grounded in who you are and knowing that you're capable. Even if you're not perfect at things at first, you are capable and you are worthwhile. And to me, I think a lot of that confidence comes from just growth and settling into who you are over time. For me, it just took a lot of trial and error, and I think I'm still on that path towards maybe even more confidence. But I definitely have seen just this huge shift in myself over the past number of years in just growing in confidence and feeling more stable in who I am and feeling good about that person and not feeling like I need to constantly shout it to the rooftops or show off about it. And I ultimately think that the thing that truly confident people don't really talk about is that they still question themselves. They're not just going around never questioning themselves, never feeling anxious, and constantly feeling great, because that's just not possible and that's not human. And it's not even healthy to try to pursue that ideal of never feeling anxiety. Anxiety has a real purpose in our lives. It helps motivate us, propel us forward, push us to be better. And so to try to eliminate that altogether, to me, really isn't healthy. Now, granted, I think society tells a lot of women especially, and a lot of different marginalized groups, that they're not as worthy, or they're only worthy based on certain things. For example, in the case of women, I think we're often kind of told by society that our appearance is what's most important and not necessarily our intellect or our abilities. And so it can be hard to overcome this self-questioning and this lack of confidence. But again, I think there is a healthy level of self-questioning. It's just a matter of when does that self-questioning turn into really deeply negative beliefs about the self. And I think that's the distinction between maybe less confident and more confident people. And I say less confident or more confident because I see it as a continuum. I don't see it as the way we often think about it. Are you confident? Are you not confident? There isn't that binary. I don't think it's true. I think it's kind of this continuum and this journey that I think we're all on in trying to, usually in most cases, build confidence and feel good about ourselves. But to me, when you are more on the confident end of the spectrum, it's not as if you totally never question yourself. It really is about taking the questioning thoughts and turning them into something constructive and useful, and not letting them turn into something super damaging or detrimental. And also part of confidence is just knowing at the end of the day that you're capable. You might not be perfect, you might have room for growth, but that you are capable and that you're willing to learn. To me, that gives off a more quiet confidence that is more actually appealing to other people and that actually ends up being more successful in the long run than the people that are just kind of like in your face about it at first, who are probably kind of avoiding those self-questioning thoughts, but they don't truly believe in themselves. You know, a little while ago, I made a video about imposter syndrome. I'll link it here. But there were a couple of points from that video that I want to share here again. And one is that based on research, people who are really, really competent, so good at something, question themselves more than the people who are actually incompetent and perform worse. Questioning yourself might not actually be a good indicator of how well you're doing at a particular task or job or role or test, because often it's the opposite of what you think. People who are incompetent tend to think they do better than they actually do, and it's actually the people who question themselves more and maybe even think they did worse than they actually did that are usually better at the task. It's kind of like that whole stereotype of like knowing what you don't know rather than just like not knowing. Another point I made in that video that I want to bring up that I think is relevant to confidence is just that imposter syndrome tends to be worse for people when they're taking on a new role or job or kind of task, essentially. That it's not just this thing of like, as you go through life and you gain more experience in a career, say, you're never going to question yourself. You may start to question yourself once you're thrown into a new task. So even really experienced people in a field might question themselves if they take on a new role. And to me, that's a huge comfort, because sometimes in life I will feel like I've finally built up confidence, and then I'll be thrust into a new situation and I'll question myself, and then I'll think, wait, is this whole confidence thing I've built a lie? Am I still back at square one and I don't have confidence? What I've realized is that as I'm thrown into new situations, I gain that confidence more quickly because I have a deeper sense of my worth and my ability to grow and to rise to the challenge. And I have a sense of who I am and what skills I have, maybe what skills I don't have. And I'm willing to learn and to question when I'm not as good at something. So I say this just because if you start to question yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have confidence. It's what you do with that self-questioning. Do you let it turn into stopping you from doing things that you want to do because you're afraid? Do you let those questioning thoughts turn into really negative beliefs about yourself, like I'm worthless or nobody likes me? Or do you catch those thoughts and keep them constructive? Do you say, wow, I really didn't do as well as I wanted to on that, say, presentation at work. How could I maybe do it better next time? As opposed to, wow, I didn't do as well as I wanted on that presentation. That just must mean I'm horrible at presentations and bad at my job, and everyone at my job hates me and I'm worthless. Keeping it from going to that spiraling negative place that keeps your confidence down. I think another thing you can do to just gain confidence is to do something more. So that comes back to that point about how when you're thrown into a new situation, you might start to question yourself a bit more and feel that sort of imposter-y feeling. Basically, when you're starting something new, it's normal to have some anxiety, and that's healthy. And the way you can overcome that self-questioning and that anxiety is just to do it more. There's so much research to show that the more you do something, the more confidence you'll experience in doing it and the less anxiety you'll feel. And so if you're feeling anxiety at first, recognize that as you do it more, you will gain in confidence. I also just think that confidence isn't necessarily an across-the-board thing either. You might feel confident in one area of your life, but not so confident in another. You might feel really confident at your job and that you're good at it, but then you might feel anxious about, say, social situations and making friends. And that doesn't mean that you are confident or not confident. It means you have some confidence, and that there are areas that maybe you need to throw yourself more into in order to gain that confidence. Going back to that stereotype of confidence, I also think sometimes the people that appear confident are still experiencing anxiety. And I can say this as someone who has studied anxiety, treated anxiety, and often it's people who seem really socially adept who actually have the most social anxiety. I mean, obviously not always, but basically it's very common for people who are really social, who are really, say, funny or interesting, who end up actually really having a lot of anxiety about their social interactions after the fact and worrying about it all day and kind of have anxiety before going into social situations. So I also think it's good to remember that just because someone seems confident doesn't mean they actually are. And even some of the most socially adept people might be experiencing anxiety at times. I think ultimately all we can do to really combat our anxieties and self-questioning and just try to build a sense of self is to just live according to our own values and goals. I definitely think that this has applied in my own life, and I think maybe an immediate example is this YouTube channel. To be honest, I have historically been, and even still am, a little bit self-conscious about this channel. I really didn't make it in order for it to blow up or anything. I didn't think that I would even gain any views. It was really a place for me to just organize my thoughts, to have some fun, almost research and creative projects to create for myself, a way to keep accountable in my minimalism journey. And I found as I've done it that I've learned so much from my viewers from the comments that you guys make, and sometimes when you tell your stories or you describe your own experiences and I really connect with them, I feel less alone in this journey, and I also learn so much, and I've just enjoyed creating this channel. So I was really self-conscious about it. I didn't really tell anyone in my life about it, and I still haven't really told anyone, but For me, I just decided to create this channel because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put this out into the universe and I'm not going to worry about what other people think because people probably aren't thinking that much about me anyway. I have a video on this kind of topic, the spotlight effect. I'll link it here, about how there is an actual phenomenon supported by research that people tend to think less about you or notice you less than you think they do. And so I use that to bolster my own confidence and just saying, I'm going to be who I am. And in this case, I'm going to create this YouTube channel about a topic that I'm interested in, that I want to kind of keep myself accountable to, that I want to kind of increase momentum, my minimalism journey and trying to become more minimalist. And it's just organically kind of been this thing and I've enjoyed it. And to me, it's not about the numbers or how successful it is. It really is about just doing something that I enjoy, and keeping going with it. I think as I gain in confidence, I take more healthy risks and I just go for things that interest me and excite me and get my creative juices going. And it doesn't mean that I don't question myself along the way. It doesn't mean that there aren't times where I reflect back and I think, I didn't do as well as I wanted to. How could I do better? But it's about knowing who I am and knowing what interests me and grabbing onto that and going for it, even if I'm not always perfect along the way, and even if there are times where I really question myself. So I hope this maybe made you feel a little bit better about yourself, in that if you question yourself, it doesn't mean you're not confident. And maybe the key, if you are struggling with confidence, is to accept those moments of self-questioning as learning opportunities, because as they say, I think sometimes the most successful people are actually the biggest failures. They fail the most, but they're willing to keep going despite their failures, rather than being paralyzed by a fear of failure. And so if you're somebody that's trying to bolster your own confidence, find where your confidence already lies. I guarantee you have confidence in one area of your life that you can grab onto and try to build over time. So this was a chatty one. If you liked this content, want more videos on minimalism or building an empowering mindset, hit the subscribe button below, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.